I'm going to ask Mr. Soman Nambiar to moderate the next session on transportation and warehousing technology for better first mile and last mile operations. Mr. Nambiar is an industry veteran with 45 years of experience. He's the ex-managing director for South Asia SIVA and also a board member of EGL, DHL Danzas, and Group Varna. Suman, over to you. Yeah, you call.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Frankly, I'm in kind of awe of the people who preceded, people with great experience in the consulting world, people with great domain expertise. And I've been attending these conferences, sometimes as a speaker, sometimes as a panelist, sometimes as a moderator, and sometimes just sitting down there in the audience. And I've been at this for 45 years. The only observation I could really make is that nothing much has changed, really. Technology, yes, acts like a catalyst in changing events. But I found, end of the day, despite this great repository of knowledge in the supply chain domain, end to end, the fact is there's not much that is seriously changing from a customer standpoint. If you really look at a typical RFQ that comes out from a customer, it normally tells you what to do. It tells you we want a warehouse. It tells you we need a FTL rate. It tells you that this was our last volumes that we spent out. It tells you to provide a prescription. And then you come down and offer your prices, and end of the day, somebody called L1, for whatever reasons, no questions asked, there is no audit in terms of capabilities that is made, and it's just awarded. And this applies, believe you me, even to the best of companies in India, even now. So 45 years hence, when I found I couldn't really change too much, then I became part of the advising side now as part of a small group of engineers that we brought together to actually tell customers, hey, without anything, just looking at the kind of pathetic supply chains, particularly in the world of logistics that you have in India, you can straight away, I said I'm willing to put an affidavit in front of you and say, I forego a particular bank guarantee, and I guarantee you anything from 5% and progressively give you an additional 1% on supply chain costs year on year. Give me some access to your SAP or any ERP that you're working on. Allow me to do a data analysis. Let me find the gaps and come back with a diagnostic and a solution that can straight away cut. Because I don't even have to do this, but I just look at your supply chain and I physically verify what you really do on the ground today. Nothing has changed, really. And you're actually carrying anything from 25, pharma probably carries around 40 to 45% of wastage in their system. FMCGs carry anything from 5 to 15% in the system. I'm yet to see a very modern, sophisticated network on the ground as a service provider. Yes, there are companies who have created their own situation to be in control of all service levels that need to deliver end of the day. So they have built their warehouses, they have built their networks, they've done their capacity studies in terms of gaps to optimize the capacities and actually move it end to end with very customer driven, very customer specific, but it's entirely controlled by the customer himself. But the moment it comes down to giving it out and India is popularly known as an LCC destination, a low cost country, so you always look for low cost solutions. To hell with everything else. And to just give you a couple of very, very small examples, I remember when I first walked into one of the very, very large outfits. I said, hey, you asked for this kind of a network. You put the prescription there already. I said, you probably don't even need them. Can I do some kind of data study with you to find out what your flow is, what your expectations are, how much can you leverage on what we can actually do for you? Can you make greater customer penetration? Can I bring greater customer value for you? They said, hey, listen, it's very clear. You just got to quote your prices. I don't care how it is and what is done about this and how you go about doing this, because we've got all those penalties incorporated within the system to make sure that you deliver as per service levels we agreed upon. Now, it doesn't work in an environment like that. I said, I can bring your cost down from where it is today. So I walk into one of the largest telecommunications company in India, and when I looked at their entire operations within their warehouse, and then it moves into a supermarket into their assembly line for a line feed, I found we could actually give a proper solution and design on the ground and improve and chain, enhance their entire output from 4 million phones in a month to 14 million phones in a month. Now that is really known as solutions, but we're not really still working on solutions. We got the best minds in the industry from a consulting standpoint, but how much of it is really taken in and adapted by customers, I have serious concerns about that. Nonetheless, we still go on, the show goes on, so we continue to have seminars, and we will have this time too. So we've got some great veterans here on the panel today. We got Mradul Khandelwal, who is the co-founder CEO of Loginext. Mradul. And then we have Venktesh, who's the president and CEO of Stellium Consulting, a supply chain consulting company. We have Alok Gautam, who's been Dow Chemicals country logistics leader with 2 decades of experience behind him, and also worked with companies like Larsen & Toubro and Panelist. We have Abhimanyu Kashikar, co-founder of Anchanto, who's also worked with companies like Texas Instruments and Wipro prior to this. And then we have Sumit, who's a vice president growth and strategy, who earlier worked with Polaris and presently with Fareye, and who is also a B.Tech from ICFAI Hyderabad. So I don't know, how many of you are here who are from the customer side? Could you just raise your hands? Okay, well, that says it all. I think I would have expected customers to actually send out their procurement heads out here to really see what's going on in this world. Because the world is changing. There's wonderful things that is happening in the market. There's wonderful things we can do in the market. The opportunities are tremendous. Customers, I mean, regardless of which company and which domain it is, you're all carrying huge waste. There are great lean operation solutions that we could bring on the ground. So I think it's time we get to avail this, and guys like you really get out to speak a new language in the marketplace. The topic is transportation and warehousing technology for better first mile and last mile operations.
You don't want to? Okay, fine. Hi, good afternoon. I would like to start from what I have been doing for last 5 years. I am working on building a logistics, back-end logistics software, which essentially is your WMS, your IMS, your OMS, and multiple other aspects, which essentially takes care of your back-end logistics. Platform that takes care of B2C, that takes care of B2B, just-in-time elements. We at Enchanto, we perceive the whole logistics is something which being taken care through a very robust warehouse management system. I just want to take you through a very short video of how we see the warehouse management system is being evolving over the age. Explain. Down. This one, second, yeah, the last one, yeah.
For years, retail supply chains and logistics technology and processes have been centered around distribution centers and retail stores. But with e-commerce opening up the entire world to buyers and sellers, supply chain logistics has changed drastically. That means logistics service providers are challenged to keep up with technology if they want to stay relevant today. So, how can 3PL companies transform their assets into e-commerce logistics? Our purpose-built e-commerce technology will give you all the following essential capabilities you need. E-commerce warehouse management system, cross-border platform, full marketplace and e-store integrations, allowing your customers to do listings of common inventory across marketplaces through one interface, full payment reconciliation, multi-carrier integrations and full shipping label interoperability, return logistics, customer support. On top of all these amazing capabilities, your business will also become part of the world's largest open e-commerce network of partners that include e-commerce sellers, consolidators, marketplaces, logistics service providers, custom clearing partners, and fulfillment service providers. So the question is, keep staying irrelevant to e-commerce logistics or transform your assets to an e-commerce fulfillment business that could help you grow your revenue? Enchanto's e-commerce platform. Get started now. For years, retail supply chains and logistics technology and processes have been...
Sorry for that. Yeah, so essentially if you see over the period of time, the logistics has changed and evolved a lot. If you see, we basically call it as a three-step or a three-stage approach. If you see in stage one, where it was a very primitive, very human intervention, very manual processes that were being followed as part of your logistics and warehousing processes. Then came the next stage where some of the big companies came up with some ERP solutions which at least to an extent evolved the automation into inventory management, into order management, into dispatch management. However, if you see or compare it with the today's era of internet, these systems are still very thick client, they are very closed loop, and they are heavy on integrations. What I mean on integrations, I'll come to at the next slide. So what we see is 3.0, where we see it as a very open network. You have a warehouse management system that essentially is very flexible, powerful. It has APIs enabled to have a lot more integration capabilities, and it is a SaaS version. So you don't have to deploy multiple servers, multiple systems in your warehouses, but you can access it anywhere, anytime. So my colleague took a reference of this particular ecosystem yesterday. So if you see, after the internet boom, more than 50% of the elements which are tracked here have changed the logistics, have changed the warehouse management system, the way it has to work. For example, if you take .com stores, the marketplaces like Amazon, Flipkart, they have been coming and booming like anything. Retail stores are still continuing to be there. Cross-border element is something which is new. A lot of countries in Southeast Asia and APAC, they have a lot more cross-border than their domestic. So you cannot ignore all of these elements and continue to have a same warehouse management system to kind of cater to all of these requirements. You have a distributors, you also want to manage your content, you also want to manage your brands with whom you're working, you also want to manage your last mile, first mile, and fulfillment centers. This needs a very focused technology, and that is something we refer as EWMS, which is a warehouse management technology, which essentially stitches all of these together, which is today not possible with the current systems which are being deployed as a very traditional logistic warehouse management systems. So what does it mean? It means your warehouse management system in today's world, it takes care of your inventory management, it takes care of your order management, it takes care of your dispatch, it allows you to have a lot more integration capabilities with multiple elements in the ecosystem. It gives you a lot more control on your first mile, last mile. It gives you a real-time visibility and as well gives a control on how you operate, how you process, or how you track your workflows. I just want to highlight a few things capturing all of this into this graph, where you have a degree of visibility of what is happening with your systems, what is happening in your warehouses, what is happening with your .com stores, what is happening with the marketplaces, how is your operations working, how is your last mile, how is your first mile. If you have the visibility to this level, you have a lot more control. You have a lot more control on how you manage your inventories. Like in the previous session, Abhishek mentioned from Tata Strategy Group, the industry wants to focus on reduced inventory and logistic cost. How is that possible if you do not have visibility into what is happening with your different processes? So your operations, your inventory, your order management, if you have visibility onto all of this, you can have a control on the elements. Take an example of Amazon Prime. Why they are able to reach to this level? Because they have visibility into the system and they have control. They hold the inventory, they hold all the processes in-house. And through their systems, they have visibility on how things are working, how every last mile, every carrier, every element, any integrations, how the customer behavior is, they are able to capture that. And that's how they have a lot more control onto this. So essentially, I would like to call the WMS as the brain of this ecosystem, not the heart, because heart doesn't give you or infer data. It just pumps out blood. It just pumps out data. It doesn't give you information. Your brain gives you information. You can build analytics on it. You can build intelligence on it. So that's why I would like to call this the new age technology for warehouse management as the brain of the complete ecosystem. So you have control over your order, your online, offline businesses, and your other channel partners in the complete ecosystem. So with this, I would like to, very short, conclude on the session where we see the WMS has to be a flexible and a powerful tool for any company to have visibility in real time that gives you track and trace of all your elements happening in the complete chain. It has to give you a direct injection into the carriers. So if my system doesn't give me an information of any order that comes in, it should go by DHL or Blue Dart or any other carrier, I have no clue on how to process that order. Your system should be capable of providing that information. Once you inject that information, of course, you need an integration with different carriers. Once you do that, you have a lot more control. You know how your SLAs are being met. You know how your last miles are doing, and if they are kind of goofing up with your orders. So you have a lot more visibility in that. Shipping label interoperability, what we mean by this is I print a label in my warehouse, and that gets used across all the touch points through which my order is flowing. So be it I move from here by DHL, then DHL takes it to let's say, Australia, and from Australia there is Australia Post, which is delivering to the last mile, which is delivering to the customer. A label that is printed in my warehouse in Mumbai is still being used by DHL and Australia Post everywhere. That is what we mean by interoperability of shipping labels. And that is possible